I don't know if you're like me, but if you are, then you grew up with a show called Mythbusters. And if you aren't like me, well, congratulations. One of the things I liked about the Mythbusters is that they weren't afraid to admit when they were wrong. Every once in a while, they had these episodes when they took viewer suggestions on how they could have done something better or corrected them on something, and sometimes they were right. They basically looked at their comment sections for viewer corrections, and that's exactly what we will be doing in this video. First of all, this video popped off somehow. Like, what? So it's gonna be hard to get to all of them, but regardless, I appreciate of all of you who clicked on my face. So let's dive into the comments. No hate on the video, but I'm going to be that guy right now. Markarth was made by Mer. Dwemer are elves, hence the Mer in their names. I know exactly what this guy is talking about, and I knew it was going to be confusing when I was editing this. Now, as I said, Markarth is unique because it's the only city in Skyrim that wasn't built by the races of men or Mer that's still alive today. What we have here is a fine example of the difference between my written bits and when I'm ad-libbing. My improv skills are horrible. I need like my triple screen action and a couple drafts of what I'm trying to say. So what I was trying to say here is that Markarth wasn't built by a race of people that's currently alive in Skyrim. Markarth was built by the Kragan clan, a clan of ancient Dwemer, and the Dwemer are no longer there. They're gone. They're probably on their own plane of existence. Ah yes, the Egyptians disappeared. Egypt definitely doesn't exist anymore, and the people there now have all moved in after everyone else just vanished without a trace. Bro, you know what I meant. Current evidence suggests that Egypt is real, but you can't deny that there are similarities between the two. But this was just my first interpretation. And speaking of interpretations, a lot of you guys interpreted this thing differently, and for the most part, they were way better. Like this guy who said it's Mike Wachowski holding 2 pistols, or this guy who thought it was a cartoon mud crab, or these 2 dudes who thought it was Hermaeus Mora. And that would actually make more sense, but as this guy pointed out, the Dwemer were atheists. But this got me thinking about what it means to be an atheist in Elder Scrolls versus IRL. Webster's dictionary defines atheist as a person who does not believe in the existence of a god or gods, one who subscribes to or advocates atheism. It's easy to be an atheist in the real world because there isn't actual proof of any gods. I know I might be opening a whole can of worms by saying that, but it's true. It's easy to deny that something exists that can't be proven. The Dwemer did not deny the existence of the gods, but more like viewed them almost like a challenge. Like, oh, you guys think you're almighty? Well, look what we could do with our steam magic. So were they atheists? Kind of, but not really. To be an atheist in Skyrim would be hard, because there's proof of God's existence. It's almost impossible to avoid them in these games. So atheism doesn't really exist in the world of Elder Scrolls, and I think that's interesting. The fact that you call the pillar carvings meaningless isn't exactly filling me with confidence as to the quality of this video. A cursory glance at the wiki would have revealed to you that each animal carving represents one of the animal totems in the totemic pantheon of the ancient Nords. The hawk is kind, goddess of storms, nature, and chief of the gods, for example. This isn't exactly hidden information, and I'd kind of expect a person making a video about symbology and who supposedly has an interest in symbology to actually do some research into the symbols they are covering, instead of affecting a pseudo-intellectual aesthetic and talking a great deal about nothing.
What are you doing using your big school words? Just use normal people words and I'll understand what you're talking about.
Now I admit I could have done more research regarding these pillar carvings, so let's address them. I call it an eagle, but you're right, it's a hawk, to symbolize kind. And that makes sense because hawks are actually in this game, and eagles aren't. The snake symbolizes Orky, but who does the whale symbolize? That's an easy one. Your mom. But all jokes aside, let's look at what these totems actually are. Hawk is kind, goddess of the storm and mother of men. Snake is Orky, god of mortality, and who tricked the Nords into giving up their long lifespans. Snakes are always typecasted as dicks in religious lore. The fox is Shor, the god hero of mankind. The bear is Soon, god of trials and bane of shirts. Wolf is Mara, goddess of love and disappointing wedding turnouts. The moth is Debella, goddess of beauty, and clearly I did not receive her blessing. The owl is Junal, god of runes, wisdom, and knowledge. So he's basically the nerd of the group. The dragon is the chief deity of the pantheon, and often thought to represent Alduin. And finally, the whale, which does not represent your mom, but instead is Stune, god of ransom. Because when I think of ransoms, I think of whales. I don't totally understand that one. I'd say there's at least some symbolism in the heraldry for a lot of the holds. The Wolf of Solitude reminds you of the Wolf Queen Potema. The Bear for Windhelm reminds you of Ulfric the Bear of Markarth and gives some more interest to Stormcloaks. The Horse of Whiterun at least sort of hints at the plains and gives Rohirrim vibe, which I'd imagine was intentional. Similar with the Stag of Falkreath, just giving the player an idea of what the area probably looks like before going there. The Crown of Winterhold is probably a reference to how the High Kings used to rule from Winterhold, before its gradual decline and then obviously the collapse where most of the city fell into the sea. The other ones, though, I agree, are sort of just general symbols for characterizing the holds a bit and distinguishing guards and the like. And that's what this is all about. This person imbued me with some insight that I did not have, and thus inspired me to continue my quest for knowledge regarding symbology in Skyrim. And I agree, some of the hold sigils are pretty self-explanatory, but like, what's this thing? I'm gonna make a separate video about the hold sigils, because I've already taken up enough of your time, and I just need ideas for videos. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that, but that still feels weird to say. The one in Solitude is the Tara symbol. How dare you bring astrology into my house? The dragon language was designed by Adam Adamowicz, who sadly passed away in 2012. So thanks for this. This was an easy lookup, and I should have give credit where it was due. The man was a visual maestro, and I owe him a lot. Not at least mentioning his name is a disservice to his legacy. So that's all the comments I'm going to get to for now. So before we depart, just let me leave you with this. Video games are art. I know that sounds pretentious, but it's true. They're just like any other visual medium, and art is open to interpretation. I see something and I have an interpretation of it. An interpretation that's probably different from yours. And that's good. Other perspectives should be embraced. Like how when I saw this thing, I saw a rising sun, and this dude saw a Pixar character going akimbo. Or how I saw a carving of a bird, and I called it an eagle. You might have called it a hawk, but that's just because eagles have been more prevalent in my life than hawks. The Eagles are one of my favorite bands, and one of my least favorite football teams. But it led me to be curious, and get down to the bottom of it. And what I learned is that Elder Scrolls lore goes crazy, and there's so much of it. But the point is, all kinds of people live all kinds of lives, and all we could do is be like Ted Lasso and be curious and not judgmental. Thank you, and take care.
Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you don't. Fus Roda!